content over everything.
You guys want to do one? Yeah. Okay, let's go. Let's speak about this a little bit. This is actually a pretty interesting topic. About about the proclamation that James had last week about ripping up a Quran. We decided to kind of discuss it a little bit. So what do you think, bro? Sorry, what's your name, by the way?
My name's Omar.
Omar, nice to meet you, bro. So what do you think about that? What do you think about somebody ripping up a religious book?
I think it's quite. I find James quite a fascinating character because he has.
Same.
As I was telling you earlier, I think he has quite a fascination with Islam. His knowledge is quite good.
Definitely.
And in some ways, I know it's a bit controversial, but I think he knows a lot more about jurisprudence, about Islam, about the legalities of Islam, more than a lot of Muslims, I would say.
Definitely.
But I think it's a bit sad that he's gone to such an extreme because many people, such as Adnan Rashid and other Muslims in the park, Amidala, can now justify calling him an extremist in that sense because
he'll lose a lot of credibility if he actually gives in to the urge.
I think people don't understand how much love in Islam in Islam in particular have for the Quran and
how much importance it has.
Like, I know it's weird, but people see it as another their loved one, like their mother or father. So to actually insult the Quran is like our stamp on it. It's like it hurts them physically.
I think the distinction may be that, for one, whether you class the Quran as yours universally as a Muslim, as Muslims, if they class it as their book, or whether they draw the distinction with that's your property. Once you've purchased it or been given it, it's now your own property, which the legal system does define your own property. So the destruction of your own property is not illegal, and public order is often cited by the police for reasons to deter someone from destruction of something. But if I can just let you know that the Public Order Act 1986, Section 29J, explicitly protects freedom and expression and says, nothing in this part shall be read or given effect in a way which prohibits or restricts discussion, criticism, or expressions of antipathy, dislike, ridicule, insult, or abuse of particular religions or the beliefs or practices of their adherents. So that would cover the belief that the Quran is a miracle and belongs, that somebody else's copy of the Quran belongs to all Muslims, or any other belief system or the beliefs or practices of its adherents, or proselytizing or urging adherents of a different religion or belief system to cease practicing theirs, or believe what they want to believe. So basically, it's the distinction between what is public property, what is Muslim property, what is your own property. And if you choose to go on into your own garden and have a bonfire of your old books, your old, newspapers, magazines, as long as you're not breaking any civil law by burning dangerous materials.
I suppose that's true, but I think it goes beyond that because you're a Christian, and you have respect for the Bible. You love the Bible, right?
I do, but
how would you feel if someone
I don't believe I have a say in other people's copies of the Bible.
Would it hurt you if someone burnt the Bible? If you saw it happen?
I wouldn't particularly like it, but no, I wouldn't feel hurt.
So you wouldn't like it?
I wouldn't feel hurt.
Right, but other people could feel hurt.
They could.
Yeah.
But we live in a society that pays too much attention on whether people feel offended as to whether they're actually got grounds, even if they have grounds. None of us can live our lives we should make attempts to, if possible, in a civilised society, to accommodate the feelings of others. But if there are people walking around who believe that they identify as a fire hydrant on a Wednesday, I'm not going to go around making sure that my cigarettes are all correctly put out in case they have to work on a Wednesday and they're actually not a fire hydrant, they're just a person. So even though I'm going ridiculous, the fact is that nowadays, when people can identify as Jedis on census forms and, all of this stuff, nobody, I believe, is either capable or responsible for other people. Apart from your children and your neighbours, I'm not responsible for anybody else's feelings, and I don't go out of my way to try and hurt their feelings. But if the truth is the truth, and it's not subjective, it's objective, then that I would rather speak the truth than
I've actually got a video on my channel about the truth
somebody's misconstruction.
Let's not deviate it to the truth too much.
That's one way of looking at it, but you have another reality is that
No, there's
like
only
a
one
billion.
reality. Sorry.
Well, another way.
Yeah, but we don't have
another
that
way
much
of
of a big
looking at it.
perception
can have,
of
yeah,
it.
another perception. of it.
Yeah.
There's a billion Muslims.
Okay, there are
But-
2.2 billion Christians.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
there's
they're all-
more Christians than Muslims at this
They're
point.
raised from birth to love and respect the Quran,
Yes.
and a lot of them see that any sort of sacrilege. I mean, the parents,
So where
the
does it end
teachers.
then? Does it end with
Yeah, but-
knocking on people's doors to check
No.
if their Quran is okay? Like,
Yeah.
where does it end? Because if you give credence to beliefs that are not mainstream, the Bible is not mainstream globally. So I know that there are countries where it's illegal to own a Bible. Those happen to be Muslim countries, by the way. Even though Allah revealed the Bible, it's illegal to own a Bible. It's illegal to practice religious faiths that are not Islamic in certain Islamic states. Not all of them. Some of them are just in your own home, but it
Yeah.
varies in severe.
But isn't that factual? If Islam believes it's the truth,
Yep.
and
No,
that's
dictators
where,
who believe they have the truth kill, murder, censor.
Why would you accept another belief system? that
Because
way?
it exists, it
Isn't that-
predated Islam.
Well,
That's
Judaism predated Christianity.
Yeah, and the Christians don't disparage or disbelieve the Old Testament. They just believe they have a different covenant with God. So they don't believe that, for example, the Ten Commandments are now just, it doesn't even matter, just go around murdering people, you'll be forgiven. It's not that at all. It's recognition, and then greater prominence is given to Christ's words in his incarnation.
Okay, I mean, I think we're deviating a little bit.
Yeah,
but-
because I don't
Yeah,
think
a bit, a bit.
I
Let's
don't think
talk a
it's
bit
the
more
topic
about
du
what-
jour.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
James hasn't actually destroyed anything.
He hasn't.
But he's
So
threatened
it's-
it. And
So what?
And
So
a lot,
freedom of speech and expression
That's true.
It
protects
is.
his
You're
right to
completely
say
right.
that he's going to
Yeah.
walk to the moon,
Yeah.
he's going to leave a flag, he's going to transport himself back down, he's going to burn a couple of American flags. He can say what he likes.
And it's going to hurt a lot of people. It
What,
will
him
hurt
saying that?
him saying that. And
So are
threatening
you
that.
drawing any distinction between saying and doing?
You've got to see if people believe
They
that's the
don't
word.
got to do anything.
If they believe the Quran is the word of God.
Yeah, and so
right?
just saying it.
Yeah, but if you're going to say it, that means you're going
But God,
to. There's a
can't
line
God-
to that. That's
can't
going to
God
go
pro-
somewhere.
Okay, can God protect his own book?
I don't know what God can do. It's not up to me to
I
decide.
think you may not. Are you a Muslim?
Oh, well, yeah, I was raised and believe
So I'm
in
pretty
Islam.
sure that Muslims who are practicing at least believe that God can do almost anything in the.
It's
like,
not me. It's not
Quranically.
for Muslims to question God or.
No, you're not questioning him. He's revealed that in the Quran.
Right.
He says that he's all powerful. He's this. He's that.
Sure.
The other.
Wait, guys. Let's not have a
Yeah.
religious debate here because
Yeah.
we'll get stuck with religious
I'm wondering,
debates.
So who is going to police this protection of the book?
Yeah, let's exactly.
That's
Let's
what I'm
approach
asking.
it from a more
And it
outside
shouldn't be.
point of view.
My position is it should not be the Metropolitan Police, who have not got enough money,
Definitely
according
not.
to Sadiq
Most
Khan, to
definitely
protect
not, yeah.
children from stabbing each other.
Yeah,
But now
yeah.
they're going to be running around
Yeah,
checking people's bags
exactly,
for torn
exactly. I
pages.
completely agree
Like,
with
no.
that. The police should not get involved with any burnings of Qurans or of Bibles or of anything like that.
Or
But
of
I
A to
spoke to
Zs
James about
or
it,
telephone
and I
books.
actually told him not to do it. One of the reasons is because of
Oh,
what
yeah,
he
I'm not
said.
advocating that he does it, but I'm saying that if he does,
No,
it's
if he
not
does, I don't think
illegal.
he should be legally prosecuted.
No,
I don't think it's
because it's not
exactly.
enshrined
It's
in
not a
law.
legal, a legal
Prohibition,
violation of the
that's
law.
right.
Exactly, it's not a
A
violation.
lot of people don't have that understanding. That's what I'm trying to say.
That's the
Right,
thing.
and that's their
they-
issue.
They have but
No, but
There's a
look,
there's a large
that's
amount
the
of
problem
people.
of the
Yeah,
situation.
yeah.
It's not that simple. You know, if James wants to become a martyr and be attacked in some random corner by a zealot,
Okay, but legally,
It's
so,
not a
okay,
very
so the
good thing to do.
police, in public order instances, they are not obliged, and the case came from a Christian who was street preaching. There were three ladies, they were surrounded by 100 or so people listening, and the large majority of them were aggressively, shouting them down. And when the police were called, and when the lady was arrested and taken to court, and then a higher court, the higher court ruled, so it's precedent in English law, that they had no case to answer because the people who were gathered are free to carry on walking and not listen. So they hadn't broken any. I don't even think local laws. The
The ones who
police
were
were
shouting at
criticised for the preachers
the preachers.
the court criticised the police and the lower magistrates court for even passing it on and upholding the first conviction because You can stand in the street and shout if you so choose. If you want to shout about Jesus or the Quran or whatever you want, you can, unless a psychiatric nurse can convince a doctor that you need some assistance.
I mean, that's freedom of speech you're talking about.
It is.
But
So
we're
freedom of
talking
speech
about
includes
action.
threats.
Yeah.
It does.
But this is an action, burning a...
No, it's not an action. James
not an
hasn't
action.
burned a Quran. When did he burn a Quran?
No, but he's threatening to do
Did he
that.
burn a Quran? So it's not an action.
Not
then?
no, not burning.
Let's
He wanted
just
to rip it
let's
off.
get
He was
English
talking about
straight.
rip it off.
Let's just get the English language straight. An action is a doing.
Yeah, of
it's
course.
a thing. A verbal advocation. A
Absolutely,
promise.
yeah.
A decision. A verbal thing is not an action. It's just speech, and it's protected under freedom of expression.
Right.
So there's no action involved in threatening. I can say, I feel like I would like to punch someone in the face.
No,
They're
that's
just
not
words.
exactly the same because the
I
Quran is
feel
an
like
object
burning
and the person
something.
is different. You can be prosecuted
Okay,
for
I feel like
intimidating
burning a
someone.
cigarette right now.
No. Listen.
My cigarette though.
No, the cigarette is a object. It's like
I'm
the Quran. It's not a
destroying
person. What,
It's
the cigarette?
I'm threatening to
Yeah,
burn
but wait,
it.
that's not what I
Someone
mean.
burn the police.
No, wait. Give me a sec. That's
joking.
not what I mean. I'm talking about if you give threats to specific people, it's very different than if you give
Who
threats
was
to
James
the Quran.
threatening?
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just making
Yes.
a line.
Oh, yes.
Drawing
So
a line between the
so
Quran
legally,
and the cigarette
Yep.
is on this
So
side
the
and
distinct-
people are on this
So
side.
the
you know what I mean?
distinction is, if you call people to violence,
That's
that is illegal.
Yes.
You can't say go and kill that man if you have a reasonable suspicion that the person is stupid enough to follow your command.
Just,
but so if there are
drawing that line.
Muslims or atheists or anybody else who thinks that death threats are an appropriate response to words, they are actually almost committing
something for you.
illegal acts. Those are the people.
Some key verses that might help you.
Excuse me, you're blocking the
Sorry,
camera.
there's a camera right
Oh,
there.
sorry, sure.
That's all right. Yeah, so people who plot or conspire to commit acts of violence for whatever reason. So there are some cases, I believe, where you can empathise with violent people. Maybe people who protest animal cruelty. That's you can empathise, but still, it's illegal to plot or conspire to commit acts of violence, especially if it's just in relation to somebody's words, and especially if it's just in relation to their own property being destroyed in a public place. And that's my thoughts on it. And I would feel the same if it was the Bible, if it was the American Constitution, if it was. I don't know. Like, it's just paper.
I think a lot of people, a lot of Muslims, and there's a lot out there who
Are
may...
you speaking for them at the moment?
I don't speak for all.
No,
of them.
wait.
I'm just checking.
Obviously, he's not. I mean,
No,
he's
because
just
he
one
said
person.
he's not really practicing.
He's
so-
just one person.
I didn't say that. I didn't say
I said, are you a Muslim? You said I was brought up a Muslim.
Yeah.
Are you still one?
Okay,
Just
let's leave that
checking.
outside. Let's
No,
leave
no,
that
no.
out. Go ahead, bro. You
Sorry.
wanted to say something. It's okay.
He did ask me if I'm a Christian, and I answered in the present tense.
So I think there's Muslims who are out there, there may be millions of Muslims who may listen to James and some of his points, and I may take a step back because they see that as quite an extreme behaviour to do, and a lot of them would be hurt by his actions. So
What actions?
His words.
His words, yeah.
And
His
if you
Potential
actually
actions.
and
Okay.
if you carried out those,
Yeah.
those words. So and they may not listen to him, and that would be quite sad because he makes some quite interesting points.
Okay.
So I think that's quite
the
regretful.
interesting points that he makes about Christianity, I find them interesting because I like discussing religion. But I would say that, and it's just a guess, I would say quite a lot of Muslims may be offended by what he says about Islam and may not actually listen to him in the first place, because if you don't want to be offended, don't listen to someone who's disparaging your faith.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
And what's your opinion on Islam? You think it's
I believe that Christianity is the truth, so you can infer from that what you will.
so?
I believe the
if you-
last prophet was
Right.
John.
Sure. And I think part of your belief is that Islam, hopefully Muslims could in the end convert to Christianity at some point.
God knows who, God
Yeah.
predestines who.
Guys,
It's the
this is
same in Islam.
definitely shifting into a religious
Yeah.
debate.
No, I'm
Let's
just trying
not
to
do
say,
that.
I'm trying to say that
100% it's shifting
if
there.
you want people to leave Islam, you gotta have a conversation to that end. And if you do
What do you
extreme
think I'm
actions,
doing here?
and if you're going to do extreme actions such as thinking about ripping the Quran,
You can't even think about it now.
It's
Call the
gonna
thought
hurt.
police, somebody.
No, look,
honestly,
look,
there's
look,
people
look,
out there
look.
thinking about having a
I
cup of tea
disagree
right
with that.
now.
I think you can think whatever you want. To
And
think
say
about.
well,
to
I think
a,
actually-
Well, yeah, you
to an
can say
extent.
it, but look, if a person says something to another person and that person hits him in the face,
then the
person who
is
hits
the
in the
person
face,
who hit them.
exactly, that's the
Yes.
person who goes to jail. That's
Yes.
probably not goes to jail, but that's the person who will be prosecuted,
who
right?
runs very fast.
Yeah, but imagine this. Imagine like one person goes near a drunk, a big drunk guy in a pub, and then starts talking about his mother's past relationships with a random, farm animal or whatever, something like that.
It seems you've had this conversation before.
Obviously something. Obviously,
I know. These
no. I just thought
random.
about some random thing that would insult someone on the
the
street.
intricate workings of
It
his
was
mind,
random.
people.
I can give you another example.
No, we're fine.
That's good.
A different example.
I'm still on the farm.
I'm good at insults. I'm good
Bible
at
is
insulting
against
people,
that. I'm
but
just
that's why I
gonna-
don't do it very often.
I think
Now
let me just finish. Let me
so
just
if you
finish.
provoke someone
Yeah,
to
if you
violence,
provoke someone to violence,
you're still
then
within the law.
you're still within the law, but you're the one who gets hurt. You're the one who
Yes.
gets punched in the
Exactly.
face.
So there's a natural justice, even though it's not just to hit
It's
somebody
exactly.
because they insult your best farmyard animal.
Yeah. Now let's talk about the Quran itself. Let's not talk about the action itself. From my perspective, the Quran has absolutely no value for me.
Yep.
Because I'm an agnostic.
Yep.
As the Bible, it has no value for me. I'm not a religious person.
Yep.
But at the same time, the Quran and the Bible, and this might sound a bit,
Pavlovian?
Maybe as a strange idea, but to a certain extent, it's like money. Because it has value
has
as long as people apply value to
Yes.
it. You know what I mean?
Yes, I
if
do.
people apply value to something,
Yes.
it has value.
Yes.
And money only has value because we all agree that it has value, right? If it doesn't, it's just, scraps of paper.
It's just Italian
and stuff like
lira.
that.
Yeah.
That's it. That's what I mean. So if many people apply value to the Quran,
Yes.
then it starts having value.
Yes,
if
it's
many
got
people
emotional,
apply exactly value to the
validity,
Bible,
yes.
start having value.
Yep.
To a certain extent, like money. You know that scene in The Dark Knight where Joker burns a big pile of money, and he says it's not about the money; it's about sending a message. Everything burns. It's very good because for me, a burning pile of Qurans, it means something just because I know that it means something for other people,
Okay,
or
so
a
can I
burning
give
pile
you
of
an
Bibles.
analogy?
But for me personally, I don't feel much
Okay,
about it.
there is, I think it's biblical. There's a story of somebody who has all of their money. They have to escape a ship and they've got gold strapped to their belt and they jump off and they start to sink because of their wealth.
gold, yeah.
But they won't
let go, yeah.
rescind
Yeah,
or release
yeah.
their belt. So they drown with
They
their
drown
gold.
with the gold.
So
'Cause they
putting
keep giving
intrinsic
value
value into objects. So the value within the Bible comes from the knowledge, not from the pages, not from it being revealed by God through men. It's not that. The value is the instruction. So the presence of the Holy Spirit, I'm not getting religious, enables you to live a different life. It's not an instruction manual. There's nothing that if we got rid of the Bible today, please God it never happens, we could reconstruct it anyway from the letters of the church fathers, from ancient manuscripts, from other things. So what, like if somebody threatened to come here and burn a pile of I don't know, Sun newspapers, it wouldn't have the same emotional response.
Well,
But that-
definitely not.
but that-
People don't see
that
the sun
factors
as.
into- but that-
Hopefully, they don't see the sun as the
Some
Lord of the
people
Word
do.
of God.
But the fact is that encourages, and I'm not saying this about James, but if I now want to trigger somebody, I can now say, well, actually, I've got 10 of them at home, and how do you know that I'm not going to go home and X,
burn
Y,
it, yeah.
Z? Which I don't, because I've got smoke detectors, and what's the point? But the point is that it's only the emotional response. So bullies get a response by threatening. So anybody who threatens him, and he's made a threat against a book. So it's slightly different, but it's still. Why are we all standing talking about it? He's not here doing it. Hopefully, and not because of death threats, he won't do it anyway because really the value in it is minimal. Like just the threat has done enough to get people talking about it. So it's kind of highlighted the fact that there's an inequality in literature even.
Yeah, look, I understand your point of view, but
Do you think he
I don't
shouldn't have even said it?
No, he can say it if he
Oh,
wants.
so where do
It's
we
not
differ?
about words.
Where
it's
do
about
we differ?
what if he actually did it.
But where do we
I think
differ?
that's the okay. Where do we differ? I
you
think the
believe it
main
should be
point.
illegal?
The main point where we differ is that I don't think it's beneficial for his cause.
What is his cause?
His cause,
Agnosticism?
his cause is to question religion, specifically Islam. He
Well,
likes to
he's
question
getting
Islam.
an
he likes
answer,
to.
isn't he?
Huh?
He's getting
but it's
an
not a good
answer.
it's
So
not-
hold on, so it's furthering his cause. He wants to know what happens if I say this, and now he probably knows without even doing anything. So
Yeah, but look, the problem with that is he's questioning Islam for people who already aren't following Islam. So
Why?
it's basically.
According to this gentleman, there's
No,
maybe
look,
millions of Muslims
That's,
who are listening
wait.
to his
Let me
words,
finish.
which is a
That's
bit of
not
an
what I mean. That's not what I
exaggeration,
mean. He's questioning. He's saying if he burns the Quran, he'll be attacked. Blah blah blah. All that
Yeah,
stuff.
for sure.
And it's true.
And
Fair
that's
enough.
very
It
sad.
probably
And
it
that's
probably
an
will happen.
indictment of our
Yeah, it's pretty
society.
bad. I don't agree with it.
Yeah.
It's pretty sad. But it doesn't. He's not debunking Islam for Muslims. He's debunking Islam for non-Muslims, and thus it doesn't have any
I would
intrinsic
say
value.
he's debunking the emotional attachment to a set of pieces
To
of
non-Muslims, they already aren't following
paper.
Islam, so it won't change anything.
I know of cases where there are Muslims who are quite horrified by the reaction of fellow adherents in different countries, whereas a more stricter version or a different version of Islam. So Sunnis quite happily condemn Shia violence, etc.
And Shia condemns Sunni
yes,
violence.
of course.
Yeah,
So what I'm
we
saying
know
is
about
there
that.
may be Muslims who are positively in James's worldview.
Well, of course, on the surface,
affected by this.
everybody's going to condemn.
Because but on the surface, they may also
At least
say
on the
that,
surface.
but they may see the condemnation of others as too violent. They may see that if James's prediction of violence came true, that's a sad indictment on their own cultural practices. Because I don't know that the Quran says Ali might help me out. It doesn't say like attack anyone who threatens to.
So, are you a Christian? I don't know what
No, not threatens. I'm assuming that he actually did it.
Tear up the Quran, and we know that it's a miracle. The Quran says it's a miracle, like Allah says it's a miracle. But just threatening it's not like Sikhism where it's a guru in its.
One of my favourite verses in the Quran.
But what if you just threaten?
We're coming from the premise that he actually did
Yeah.
it. That's the
there you go.
premise
So
with
there's
which
a
I'm starting.
differing view.
Look,
He's saying that the word is eternal, which is the same as Christians.
Yeah, but look again, we're having a very something very similar to a religious debate. Religion is absolutely
It's
subjective
whether or
to each
not
person.
the book is important enough to be physically attacked over.
You heard
It's
of
not for me,
And it's
but
not
for
for
many
me.
people it is.
And
You
those
might
people
say
have
it's
to
not
get
for you,
over
but
it.
many Christians
Those people
will
have-
attack other people for
Why don't
attacking their
those-
book.
I would suggest that potentially those people should go and find Muslims who are being persecuted rather than books that are being threatened and help those people and have some righteous indignation for those atrocities.
Yeah, I don't
Rather-
agree on
Do
James
you see
being.
what
No, look, I don't agree on James being threatened for threatening to rip up the Quran. I don't agree with that at all. Now, if he actually did it, then it would be another conversation. I would still be on James's side because I don't give any intrinsic value to the Quran, but I would understand the problem of the situation.
Yeah.
It's that people don't think the same way. People are not the same.
That's fine, but when you live in a society that deems certain behaviours illegal and certain protected legally, so as we read out before, it's not prohibited to ridicule, insult, other people's religions, or to coercively argue with them to try to make them see your point of view. If his point of view and his ridicule or insulting of a certain religious text, if it goes into a physical act, it's still not illegal, but I would say it's ill-advised. But at the same time, he's definitely proving a point because he hasn't actually done anything. So his two sentences are causing this big hoo-ha, and the guy hasn't done anything. So he's proving that even irreligious people, non-religious people, Christians, anybody else is also interested in whether it happens because they need
Okay,
to
look,
pick a
let's
side.
approach this from a different perspective. I don't think
Okay.
I'm explaining myself
No,
well
I
enough.
hear what you're saying.
No, I'm trying to actually explain something different than
Uh-huh.
this. If you make people doubt money,
Yes.
money loses all of its value.
Yep.
But if you burn a pile of money before its value is lost, you are seen in a very bad light. You know, you're seen as destruction of property
We
or whatever.
do destroy
whatnot.
banknotes in this country.
Do you see where I'm
regularly.
going with this?
I do.
If you debunk the Quran and make people stop seeing value in it,
Yep.
instead of actually destroying the book itself and making a martyr out of the object,
Yep.
it has a much bigger impact. It
So
has a
you
much
advocate
bigger
that course of
message.
events.
I don't.
Debunk first.
I think having conversations are better than actual doing actions that
Do
could.
you believe that conversations are better than physical violence against people?
It depends the reason. I don't advocate
Because of religious
physical,
differences.
I don't advocate physical violence.
Right, the Quran does.
My opinion about burning the Quran. I've got to say one thing. There is something about, and this is maybe a bit controversial, about doing doing violence against someone who rips the Quran or burns the Quran, because it's the fear of doing that, being attacked. stops that person from doing that action. Now, I think it's more easier for someone to rip up the Bible and not get harmed, and you know.
Because Christians are commanded to forgive.
Well, it's more than that. It's just that they won't get. There's no risk.
Well, there's no.
I think there's some risk even ripping up
violence.
the Bible, but I think there's less risk in ripping the Bible than ripping the Quran.
I think in some ways it validates the Quran more that there's a threat that other Muslims will harm you if you damage it.
I think it makes
because
it
they
less
respect
valid.
They see it as the word of God.
But
No,
God
I don't
is
agree.
about
I don't
life,
agree.
surely.
I don't agree there should be violence.
Do you
but I think there's something to
I've
that.
got a question for you. Okay. Do you think Allah would
Let me just say-
condone violence against somebody?
I think there's something to that fear of violence,
Yep.
protecting the word of God, you know,
Right.
because you see the Quran as holy, and I think Christianity has lost that in some way. And Bob might agree with me about like there's not so much respect for Christianity. There's not so much respect for the Bible.
The Bible is separate from Christianity. They're not.
I don't know.
it's
My
not a
knowledge of the
miracle.
Bible isn't.
So what I'm saying is, it's not viewed in the same way.
Right.
It's not viewed as a miracle in and of itself.
Yeah.
It's because the Quran is revealed through one person only, whereas the Bible has more than 60
Right.
different authors.
Right.
There are also times when the state has sanctioned the removal of certain books from the Bible and the reinsertion of those same books again, depending on which kind of Christian you are. So tampering with, changing the Bible, like as in removing books, but it's all by the way. The fact is that I would like to know, do you believe as a Muslim that Allah would condone any violence against somebody who had damaged the intentionally damaged the Quran?
I don't know. I can't.
Have a
see
guess.
from what Allah would want
Of his,
to.
of the character of his that is shown in the Quran that you know of, do you believe he would say,
can't.
don't hurt that person, forgive them, or don't hurt that person because I'll deal with them on Judgment Day, or yep, go ahead and hurt them? Like just a rough feeling.
I think the language of the Quran is a lot. There's a lot about you reap what you sow. It's quite different from the Bible.
Do you
which
reap
is,
it from other sinners or do you reap it from Allah?
I don't know.
Yeah.
This is definitely turning into a
Let me go back to the point.
now.
Let me give an analogy, for example. You remember Muhammad Hijab?
There's no farmyard animals, are there?
No.
Muhammad Hijab,
Yeah, Muhammad Hijab and Jedi, right?
Yeah.
And
But Muhammad Hijab inviting Jedi to an MMA fight.
No.
Me.
And there was Jedi defending himself against this Muslim guy who attacked him, right? And then he held him back. Or something. There was something that happened.
Oh, you
And
mean
then-
Ahmed Ali?
Ahmed Ali, right?
Oh, I know what happened.
Yeah.
So basically, it was like this. Ahmed Ali punched Uncle Omar in the face because
Right.
Uncle Omar said something about his mom, something like that. Yeah, exactly the example that I was giving a while ago. You remember?
So mature.
I know. Well, Ahmed Ali, he has a few
No, I'm
loose
saying it's
screws,
mature
honestly.
to insult people's mother. Like it's just
Well,
insult them to
Okay,
their face.
sure.
If you're gonna.
He shouldn't have punched him still.
No, of course not. But I just
If somebody
thought for an
insults you,
elderly
insult them
gentleman,
better. That's
for
my
an
way of
older
seeing things.
person to start using mum cusses.
Yeah, that's
is
Uncle Jihad for you.
on.
That's just how it is.
I know. Yeah, he likes
It's just how it is. But
attention.
anyway,
Yeah,
what happened?
So, Ahmed Ali, so Jedi insulted Ahmed Ali's
Yeah,
mother.
no, wait. It wasn't exactly like that. So Ahmed Ali punched Uncle Omar, right? Some time went by. Jedi came near Ahmed Ali, started virtue signaling to him. Oh, you punched an old Muslim brother. Oh, that's violence. Ahmed Ali started, getting really pissed off. It's on video, actually. You guys can watch it. And he said, Jedi, oh, you stood there like a bitch. And everybody's like, oh, and Jedi like, oh. And then, Jedi turns to Ahmed Ali. Ahmed Ali Pisha. The only bitch is your mom.
Why
And
would you not want to come here, people? I don't understand it.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun times here. MMA corner.
I think he
But
has
anyway.
an analogy.
Yeah, and then Ahmed Ali tried to punch Jedi. He missed. He punched another guy near Jedi, and then another guy started punching Ahmed Ali.
Just
Then
your
it was a
run-of-the-mill
big
everyday
fight.
kind of occurrence, really.
held him in.
Yeah, Jedi held him and threw him at the floor eventually.
And then a teacher came along, and then dinner time was finished.
And then the week after, I think it was the week after, a bunch of Muslims came to the park.
Yeah,
including
a big group.
Muhammad Tawheed, Abdul Hakim, and some
Oh,
other
Tawheed, he
young
was
guys.
really unhinged on that day. He was like, Ahmed Ali Pishas, his mom is your mom.
Did he use Scooby-Doo's actual voice?
Oh God, it was pretty close to that actually. That sounded like Scooby-Doo. Sorry, okay, no more interruption. I'm not getting interruption.
And Muhammad Hijab confronted Jedi and said, tried to challenge him. and because he saw it that as he was defending the Muslims in that sense from attack, and there was something to that because he was trying to intimidate. I don't know if he did or not. He tried to intimidate Jedi, and he was trying to show, look, if you try to play with the Muslims or try to attack the Muslims, this is what's going to happen. And this, I don't know if there was some success to that, but he was trying to send a message that if you harm Muslims, this is what will happen. And I'm trying to analyse that to what's happening with
I would
Quran.
answer that.
So
And I think
what's your idea
Can I
of the
just answer
situation?
very
What do you
quickly?
think? Was what he did right? What Mohammed Jab did the right thing to do?
Are you saying the ends justified the means?
I think it's complicated. I think what it may display to some Muslims, look here, you're defending the Ummah here, but to other people, like maybe non-Muslims, it may make it appear that Islam is violent, aggressive.
Or just that Mohammed Hijab likes an MMA fight.
And
to invite people to an MMA
Oh,
fight,
right.
not
It was-
necessarily
it
likes
was-
an MMA fight.
No, but he challenged him. He was getting like this in his face.
Yeah,
He didn't have a vest on.
Bro,
at the
okay,
time,
let
did
me
he?
tell you
Anyway,
something.
no, can I
If they
just
wanted
say,
to fight, they would fight right then and
Or
there.
just
No,
outside,
They didn't
away
want
from
to
the
fight, they wanted to play it for the
Have you
camera.
noticed it was all orchestrated because 7 hours they all planned that. Those guys hadn't been in park for months, even for a year.
I know.
Hakeem and Tawheed.
Okay,
Yeah,
can
man.
I
Go
just
ahead.
say that you like you were saying that it could be supposed that people think, oh well, you'll see the ramifications of insulting a certain group of people.
Yeah.
Or maybe people will think to us. I personally, and I believe deep down you would rather live in a society where people were able to self-regulate. So whether they were able to, on the basis of the available information, make a decision as to whether I feel like insulting that person, and I can work through the potential consequences. Not that he's going to bring all his mates round, not that he's going to bring all of his religious adherents.
Were you there
friends
that
round.
day?
No, maybe not. I don't know.
I was.
But the fact is that
I know exactly what happened.
I'd rather live by laws and regulations that prohibit violence,
Right.
no matter what.
Funny
Not
day.
because not because somebody's threatening me not to,
Yeah.
but because the state says if I do, I can happily punch whoever I like in the face and take the consequences.
But listen to this. That Mohammed Hijab posted a video of those events, and that video got 880,000 views. 880,000
Well, of
views.
course, my most popular
But
video is when I
message.
almost fight with Omar. People like to see that stuff.
But that sent a message, didn't it? It sent a
Yeah,
message.
for the thumbnail.
So
Pavlov hits a woman.
In some ways it worked then, didn't it? Because it showed people
But
that
works
if you
in
mess
what? In
with Muslims,
controlling people.
you may see it. There's different
that's-
ways of looking at it. I'm not taking a side here. I'm not taking a
But
side
you
here.
seem to see it as
I think a
positive.
lot of maybe irreligious people will say this confirms what they think about Islam. It's violent or
If
aggressive.
there are death threats against James
Yeah.
based on words,
Some-
I would say that sadly that would feed into a prejudice that sees a religion that advocates some form of violence to
Yes.
protect its image.
But
Whereas
Others will
the
see it.
state does quite a lot to promote the feeling that it's a religion of peace. And when its adherents are violent, that jars in your consciousness because you think, hold on a minute, it's supposed to be peaceful. It's like if a bunch of Tibetan Buddhists just decided to have a mass brawl in the pub. You're like, what's going on?
But Islam, in some ways, I'm not very knowledgeable at Islam, I've got to admit that, but Islam is a bit different from Christianity.
Definitely.
Well, in terms of forgiveness,
Jesus
it's not as
died
so-
for a start.
It will try to
in
defend itself
Christianity.
if it
Muhammad
gets
died
attacked.
Yeah.
And Muhammad as
Not
a
Christianity.
figure,
Well, I think people do that generally. They
Yeah.
defend themselves if they're attacked.
If you notice, Ireland spent a long time defending versions of Christianity and money and land problems. It's much more complicated than just religion. But Christianity, there's no, even though there's forgiveness, praying for your enemies, blessing those who curse you, all of those things, there's still nothing that says you must be bullied or intimidated. That what is important within Christianity is the truth, and we are told that the truth is Jesus Christ. So insulting Christ in that way, which I've had Muslims tell me that Jesus effed his own mum because if Jesus is God and Mary was pregnant, even though the Quran says basically that God made Mary pregnant, like via this spirit or angel. So I've had I've had hugely offensive things said to me, but because I'm what we call a grown-up, I chose to take that offence and just go, oh, what an idiot.
yeah, that's
Like
good.
literally.
That's the look. I agree.
threatening
I
anybody.
completely agree with you. That's the right way of interpreting things. But we need to think realistically on what are the consequences of our actions. On this specific regard,
Potential.
on what happened with between Jedi and Mohammed Hijab. Look, I don't really agree with the things Jedi does. I don't think he should have went to Amidala and started virtue signaling to him. But I definitely can't see it in any other way but to see that Mohammed Hijab was wrong in going to Jedi and trying to defend his Muslim brother who was in the wrong, who started it in the first place, who threw the first punch. It's absolutely impossible for me, to see it, to try to,
No, it's okay. No.
to see it in any way that I can defend Mohammed Hijab in this, because you need to regulate your guys.
Plus, when you say he was successful in that, it turned into a big viral video, and it had lots
He
of
sent
views on
a
YouTube.
message to Muslims, not just in the UK,
Well,
all around the world.
They're a bunch of thugs, or that this guy is a
you can
thug.
see it as well.
man, I
You can
mean,
see
the
it
guy
as
threw
well.
the first punch.
It wasn't a personal thing. They just don't like
I
each other. They just wanted an excuse.
I think a lot of Muslims,
Yeah,
you see it from that
obviously.
point
They
of
wanted
view.
an
But
excuse
then
to
Muslims
get
will
something
see it,
going.
they defend
None
the
of them
brother.
wanted to fight on camera. None of them. Jedi wanted to virtue signal son of
because
Ahmed
they can
Ali.
be played
And
in court,
Mohammed Hijab
that's
wanted
why.
to come here and be the champion of Islam. And, look, I'm inviting
he's
this
kind of
evil
against
man
that,
to a
isn't he?
fight. He who punched our brother,
call him a boy?
Ahmed
He
Ali.
Did he
Did
say
he?
a lot? I don't know. He
He
normally
seems to be
does.
repeating
Who,
that just
Mohammed
now,
Hijab called
that
Jedi
there was
boy?
violence
the other
No,
way.
other instances.
Well,
he
yeah, I
used
mean,
boy
I
as
know,
like a
whatever you
derogatory
think, it
kind
appeared
of.
that way to a lot of
What an
people.
insult.
Okay.
I support
I thought it was
Mohammed Hijab.
10 out of 10 would
girls.
punch.
I'm just saying what the opinion may be, because I've got
Don't
a
presume
point of view
gender
being that I'm
nowadays.
Muslim myself. I know what how
Cisgender
Muslims may
male.
think.
Neutral something. I can't keep
And to a
up.
lot of
But look, I'm
Muslims,
kind of, I'm coming more. Let's go back to James and the ripping of the Quran.
I didn't hear his statement. What he said
Neither
he's
did
gonna.
I.
He said he was gonna rip up the
and
Quran,
he has got a big
perhaps,
audience. And a
Yeah,
lot of those
James.
people
Why?
would be
to send a message, basically.
like what he did.
Look,
I appreciate what he did because they see
I
it
don't
as
know.
like
I
he's
don't know about that. I
defending-
don't think he
Islam itself
specified
is
it that
quite
much. He just said
tribal
something
religion.
about
I think it came
ripping
about
up the
after
Quran.
somebody
So
else
if you do
threw
something
one on
in
the
defense of
floor,
that tribe,
then maybe there was a
it's gonna get
backlash for
applause.
that. So
It's
he
gonna
was
get
kind of
applause.
saying, well,
I know
right.
that as an outsider.
Yeah,
It's
look,
like a
James has
twisted
been a
difference.
thorn in the side of the Dawas for a very, very long time now.
Yeah, so-
They don't want to speak to him because they know that they can't debate him.
Yeah.
Because he
Yeah,
knows
I mean,
things
probably
that they
a bit
can't
of both,
simply,
I don't know. It's just if you get
I
around.
know
fallacy
other
their way
people
out.
see it as a
They can't just,
action, and I
deviate
get
from
that.
him because he actually
And
knows the
people
stuff
like
he's talking
Shamsi, other
about.
Muslims
That's
agree.
why, Adnan won't talk to him.
Not
That's
all
why other
Muslims
Dawas don't want to talk to him.
Yeah.
They call him a hate preacher, they call him a Islamophobe, they call him
Everybody's
anything
an
they want.
extremist or a hate
Yeah,
preacher who
he's an
disagrees
extremist.
with
He
Adnan.
hates
That's
Islam.
just how it
I
is.
mean,
But
it's
you
just
see,
if
he
just
burned
if you're
if
mentioning
he
about,
ripped the
like,
Quran,
I don't know, the viral
he would
video
be
or something,
seen
then,
by many, many Muslims out there, and we
quite
need
hateful person.
exactly, and we need to a certain extent consider their opinion. We don't need to care, not at all. I don't care about their
Legally,
opinion,
yeah.
but realistically thinking, I don't want to be caught in some dark corner by a random zealot and be stabbed to death.
I see what you're saying,
That's
but
why I will never do that stuff.
Let me put it to you
Yeah.
like this.
How he
My
orchestrates
grandparents'
conversations,
generation within this country
how
had a
he- when he has
huge amount of
conversations with
animosity,
Yeah.
antipathy, dislike for Japanese people and German
I'm
people. Some of it
reminded
was
about
Those germs.
some of it
Remember
was
him?
state-funded, like
Well, I
propaganda
remember
against them. Others were personal
yeah.
experience.
Because of
Others
World War
was
II.
just
videos as well.
So
was.
we, because of their
You need to hate your enemy or else you
but
can't kill
because
your
of,
enemy.
not in Christianity, but because of their potential feelings, still we cannot advocate the discrimination of Germans
he was a
or
classic
Japanese
troll in a
people.
way.
We can't say we take
He
all those
said
hundreds
everything
of
that
thousands of
can't be
people's
said, and then
opinion
exposed
because they
exactly
may be
what
hurt
Colin
if we have a
can't say.
Japanese
It was
minister
mainly the
the health service in Britain. We can't say we can't go along with anti-Japanese sentiment because of their well-founded potentially feelings.
I saw
We
one
can't
video
take into
there where
account
one of
the
them
feelings
was
of
in
the
a bus
majority of people
after he got
because
on it.
democratically we
One guy
already
started
have taken
attacking
into
the
account
bus
the
and
majority
then-
of the people's
they're
feelings by
wandering
voting
back
for
in.
our governed,
And then they get into a
our
fight.
elected officials.
and
And if they
he's
stick
already
to their
gone by that point.
manifestos
And
in
it's like,
protecting freedom of speech,
he's
freedom of
just
expression,
completely
putting money
turned
into the health service,
everyone into a,
etc.,
you know,
racism
like he's kind
or
of,
overly,
he's
you know,
been playing that, you know,
what's the
just,
word? homogenophilia. I don't know, like excessive love.
a new one.
Well, it's like Anglophilia. Excessive love for a race or excessive dislike can't be taken into consideration because we live in a society that extols the virtue of equality, not diversity, equality. So, and even though they want equality of outcome, which is silly, equality of opportunity is there and a rational position. So if you have the opportunity to burn a book, if you have the opportunity to jump off a cliff, if you have the opportunity, you're a grown adult, and unless the state says you're incapable of making decisions, the actions or potential hurt feelings of other people.
Oh no, it's okay, it's okay.
The potential hurt feelings, unfortunately, even though we'd all love to go around with kid gloves on and make sure all the elderly people don't see a Japanese person, like basically we can't mollycoddle human adults. Like
Look,
they
I
need to
agree,
be
I
involved
agree.
with reality.
Look, I can't disagree with that. As I myself, I follow the ideology
win.
that if you look,
I'm joking.
this is not about victory between me and you. This is
No,
victory
I'm so
between
joking.
James
I think
and
we agree.
and what he
You
speaks
would rather
about.
he didn't carry out those words.
Yes, because it
I
doesn't.
would also rather he
it doesn't
didn't.
contribute
But I don't
contribute
think
for the victory of
words-
his argument.
Yes, but I don't think the words in and of themselves deserve any physical repercussions.
Oh, no, of course not.
So that's it.
Of course not.
I don't think anybody does.
But look, I said it and I say it again. I'm coming from the supposition that James actually went all the way and burned the Quran.
But he would
or
have done it
ripped
on
the
camera,
Quran.
because what's the point otherwise? He said he would come here and do it. I didn't hear him say it, but I imagined, or just supposed, that he meant within Speaker's Corner. I don't suppose he meant I'm going to go home and do it and no one will know anyway. Like, what's the point in that? Because it doesn't get any... I don't say he's seeking publicity, but I'm saying that he publicly said it.
Another problem with this is siege mentality. When people will see their ideology
Get
getting
shopping,
attacked.
people.
What?
No, get shopping. Like
Get-
with the siege, you need to get the suppliers in and make sure you're
Oh,
comfortable. And plus the EU and all that.
Good one.
Sorry.
But yeah, siege mentality is basically when people need an outside threat in order to unite
Yes,
about
yes.
something.
Yeah,
You know, I
that's
actually was around with
propaganda.
when Hijab had a conversation. We need an enemy to fight. We need somebody to unite against.
just
Yeah, I was there on
check
that
in the
video.
Quran.
It's on camera.
You've got a
It was
couple.
pretty funny. Yeah. Then he pointed at me and said something like the kuffar, and I just laughed at him.
Oh, how charming though.
I know, right?
What lovely words.
No, you know, he.
He's a big softy
he has,
underneath. We
well,
all
he
know
has,
that.
he has some good arguments. He has sometimes some good
in
arguments.
some ways, after what I said about him, he's also harmed himself because now people that video will
People took
stay.
him seriously at one point.
But that video will stay there forever.
Definitely.
You know, and people can use it. If he ever wants to be in politics or anything like that,
Yeah.
they'll reference that video
Oh,
and they
for
will
sure.
say,
He's
this
never
guy's
gonna.
a thug.
Yeah. If he
Yeah,
goes
some
for
ways
jobs,
That's
harm
it,
something
man.
like
The
that,
same
yeah.
thing that Hijab did on camera. I mean, James would do much with a much bigger magnitude if he actually ripped the Quran.
Yeah.
He wouldn't. He wouldn't
is
bring
it
up
James Goddard, is it, or is it
James-
another one?
James, the
Speaker's
tall
Corner.
guy.
That's it.
Cowboy
He wears a
hats.
hat. He did a.
He speaks
What, the-
about
the
Islam very
American
often.
guy?
I don't know if he's
No,
American. I don't
he's
think he's
British.
Is he
American.
not?
He doesn't sound American to me.
Okay. But he's the one with
What?
the whistle and the...
No,
James,
that's
the tall
Yeah,
guy,
okay.
skinny guy who
And
And
speaks
he
about
did like
Islam.
a top 10 bad things in the Quran type thing. I've no, definitely not him.
Yeah. But look, again, we need to think realistically about what will actually happen and about how
I
we
think
will
should
actually
form
organize
some
people.
sort of Soviet-style committee, hunt him down, pat him down for Qurans and matches. Let's not forget the inflammatory. Even though he said rip, we've all decided he was going to burn it anyway. And like, what are we going to do? Like, so yeah, I think we're exhausted.
Not about
If
the
anyone else wants
words.
to-
Not about the words.
Great, because freedom of expression is like protected, especially in Speaker's Corner.
Not about the words. I said it many times. I keep
actions,
saying this. It's
potential
about
actions.
if he actually went all
Yeah.
the way
Let's
and
wait
burned
till
the
he-
Quran.
if he does.
I don't think he would gain a lot with it.
Right,
I
gain
think
some
his
new
argument would become
friends.
weaker, first
Yeah.
of all. So it's the same as when Hijab is having a discussion with a person. Again, let's do another, and he invites that person for an MMA fight.
It's laughable.
He's admitting defeat. He's admitting defeat in the argument.
it's
He's
just
saying,
laughable.
I can't win against you intellectually, so I'm going to invite you to an MMA fight so I can beat
But
you
it's
physically.
still,
He's already-
but the fact is that his words
If
are
James went the
risible.
physical way, it means that his words don't have enough punch
And
to
he-
debunk the
I
Quran.
understand your point, but what I'm saying saying is that until that happens, if it happens, we could also argue, what if a meteor hits West Ham Stadium this afternoon?
Okay, look,
do you see what I'm saying? He hasn't done
Yes,
it.
yes.
Do you believe that he intends to do it? From your
I
knowledge
don't
of him,
think
because
so.
I
I
don't really know
spoke to
him.
him. I don't think he intends to
This
do
could
it
have been a
anymore.
much shorter video then.
No,
we
look,
could have just
it's
gone, nah,
because
he's not gonna
it's
do it.
because we're talking. What you got like something
You can leave him. He's fine. Okay.
like some kind of a muffle or whatever.
Yeah.
We're talking about. I mean, at least I'm trying to talk about what if somebody, doesn't even have to be James, actually went all the way and burned the Quran. No, look, I would disagree with that person burning the Quran, but I would disagree with the people trying to physically attack that person because of the burning of the
What if they burned it
Quran.
in their own house and nobody knew?
Nobody knew about it.
Is it a bad
Then it
thing or a
didn't
good thing?
happen.
What? Oh, okay.
Then it didn't happen. Nobody knows
I
about
think
it.
the thing
Nobody
is,
finds out.
It's like
Is it
if
not-
you do drugs and no
Yeah,
one
yeah.
finds
No,
out.
look.
If you're shoplifting, you don't get caught. It's not
Yeah.
really
No,
shoplifting.
look, it's not the
just,
same thing. If you kill a
borrowing.
person and nobody finds out,
It's still wrong.
yeah,
If it's indoors
you don't
or
just buy a
outdoors.
person. I mean, you can buy a person, kind of.
Exactly.
Depends
So
on the
it's-
country where you
it's
live.
You just buy a new one.
This is the actual crux of it: is objects versus people, and the violence against people will always be wrong unless it's sanctioned by blah 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 blah. And destruction of one's own property. I don't mean. That's why I brought up the distinction initially as to whether or not the Quran belongs to all Muslims, or whether once you purchase a copy, it's your property to do with what you want.
Of course
to.
it is,
Can
of
you
course it
highlight
is.
a Quran? Can you put pencil annotations in? Can you?
I put pencil annotations
but
on mine.
I'm just saying.
Whoops.
Is it? I'm not asking.
Whoops! I guess I should go into hiding now.
Brandon is
I've got to say, I've got to say one thing. As a child, when I was growing up as a Muslim, we were taught to respect the Quran. You're not allowed to touch it. You're supposed to clean yourself, wash
Yeah,
yourself.
would do, yeah.
Yeah, before
touching
grabbing the Quran.
Yeah, so we were raised to respect the Quran.
No highlighting.
And I think the thing is, the way you think, and it's really quite an evolved way of thinking. There's a lot of people who may not be at your level. I'm not saying Muslims can't think in a respectful way, but there's a lot of emotional people out there, and some of them are crazy. They have mental health problems.
Yeah, so then they deserve
And
to
some
be
of them are-
assisted by the state.
Yeah,
to
but
get
it's not.
well.
It doesn't always work like that.
But they deserve it. They deserve to be. No, but they deserve to be mentally balanced and happy, healthy, productive members of society. Nobody deserves to be depressed or schizophrenic, alone and afraid.
Yeah, and I mean, and if James did those stuff, like what would some people would see as quite an extreme action, he could. I worry that he could get harm. I don't know, whether it's right or wrong or whatever. I kind of like James.
I would hope that those who may wish to do him harm or actually did him harm would be prosecuted.
Yeah,
That's it. So basically, I'm not advocating. I think that people, if they've got a Quran, look after it. It's like, I don't believe in the burning or destruction of any books. To be fair, old library books, I save them when they I don't want them to be thrown in the bin. I don't like the thought of burning books because it reminds me of the Nazis. It reminds me of times.
I
in
get out of
which
the conversation and suddenly we're
Just
talking about the
book
Nazis.
burning in general.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
not a
the
fan.
Nazis burned
Exactly.
made book burnings. That's
Yes.
why I don't think that book burnings are really an achievement of anything.
some books deserve to be burned,
No.
such as Mein Kampf?
Books
Would you
don't
burn Mein
deserve-
Kampf?
I don't
No.
think any
No
book
way.
deserves to be burned.
How?
Not
Hang on
even
a minute, can I
satanic
just
books
ask-
or
Well,
whatever.
it's-
I'll tell you why. Whilst there are people out there who deny the Holocaust, and they exist, those people who say it didn't
That's
happen,
it, you burn the
why
Mein
would
Kampf, you don't
burn
know what
Mein
happened,
Kampf
you erase history.
And then have a new generation of people who go, oh, but it didn't even happen. What, Hitler?
Yeah.
No, he's just a made-up guy. He didn't write. Why would you erase people's words, however
it.
detestable?
What about
Why would you? Let me finish. Erase people's words, however detestable, if they can serve as admonition, as ammunition, as prohibition to certain belief systems, and that's why the right to ridicule and insult belief systems needs to be enshrined and protected. Because I can ridicule him, he can ridicule me back, then we can both get a coffee, and it's all over and done. Ridicule is not a call to violence, unless farmyard animals.
And the
big
Nazis
guys
are
in
really
pubs.
useful as an educational tool. Just finding out.
But look, bro,
what
I
they
want to
did,
actually
the
ask you a
techniques they
question
used,
about
you know?
the burning of the Quran. As far as I know, Islam is against the worship of idols, against the objectification of worship. So, shouldn't it be, a bit pointless whether they burn the Quran or not? It was remembered in the first place, right?
It's being recited all the
It's been recited, right?
I think there's just
It's the official
Back for 1
doctrine.
second.
yeah. I think you come at it from that point of view, maybe that logic.
Obviously, some people will give. Some people will give it
see
value.
as a destruction. But if you go back in history, Uthman, who was like the third caliph.
Yeah, he burned the different Qurans. He only left like a specific.
I don't know the validity of that, but this is what I've read.
I think it's in Salih al-Bukhari, right?
But I think it's the intention behind it. Like, is to I think if somebody is trying to destroy the Quran or rip up the Quran, they're trying to insult it or trying to bring down Islam. That's the intention, isn't it? And that's where people have problems. And the thing is, people see Islam as the objective truth. They work in that paradigm that Islam is the truth and it's the word of God.
Yeah.
And if you don't follow the Quran, you'll burn in hell and you'll for eternity, forever and ever and ever,
Yep.
ever you'll burn. Okay, that's that objective truth.
So if sunscreen.
If you think that way, and somebody has destroyed what they believe is the word of God, how can you blame them for being hurt, at least minimum being hurt, but now at some point trying to do violence? Now we live in the West. We have a rule-based system of law, respect.
You can blame them for doing violence. You can't blame them for being hurt. You can blame them for doing violence because the Quran is supposed to be eternal, right? It's not a physical thing. It's not located to this thing that is in my
Yes. But
So
we're
it's
talking
actually
about
ridiculous
human
if
beings here,
someone's
aren't we?
gonna
We're
fight.
talking about.
I know, but you said you can't sort of be upset with someone if they come to.
I'm not saying it's
violence.
right. I'm not saying it's right. I'm against violence personally. I'm just trying to get in
I'm
their
trying to
mind
say,
that mindset.
It's really on the person. It's on the person to. They need help. The person who is going to pick up their fist or whatever, or gun or whatever, and do someone damage because someone did something with their own book, even though it's the Quran, they call it or they give it to them. Yeah, if I'm going to attack you, what you do with your book, I got issues. My faith ain't that strong. Then is it?
Yeah.
Because the Quran is supposed to be eternal. Yeah.
Yeah, you can see it that way. Yeah.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I'm not cussing you.
No. I hear what you're saying.
Because like this whole religion thing, man. Like you can't hurt someone.
Right.
So what they think.
It's a religious
or
belief,
say,
yeah.
What they ripped up a book.
Well, that's
When you're
that's
saying
what's
it's
been
from
happening
God.
through
I
human
know,
history.
yeah,
That's
exactly.
the thing. Look, that's the difference
That's why
between
it's the people that need
thinking ideologically and thinking realistically is different. You are completely right in everything that you're saying, but at the same time, it's not a completely realistic thinking. Now, the way the perspective I would propose here is to actually have
all I'm saying.
moderately
All
realistic.
I'm saying it is on the person, it's on the individual to not react in a certain
Yeah,
way.
you should definitely
That's what I'm
blame a
saying.
person who starts
That's what I'm
violence
saying.
because of something that was said or about an object that was destroyed. I mean, unless
Do you think though it's kind of all the case of if you've got someone who say burns a book and then someone else becomes angry and violent, to me it seems quite narrow-minded on both parties. Like initially there's kind of the trolling behaviour and then there's the over-aggressive response to it, and so I guess I'd prefer for people to just be a bit more expansive
It's the same
and to
way.
just to try and have more of a richer life generally, rather than to go into that narrow-minded.
Yeah, I agree. It's
That
the same way,
person that person called me a cunt. I'm
It's the
going to
same
go
way in
after
football,
them.
right? I don't know if any of
Yeah.
you are football fans, but if you're a hardcore football fan, like it's on your heart. You have tattoos. It's almost religion for some people, right? So say if there's
like
I don't know,
Millwall.
a Man United fan. I don't know, say Man City fan, and a Man United fan burnt a Man City T-shirt. Some Man City fans will knock him out, will
Oh,
fight.
yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? But
yeah.
from objectively speaking, it's a bit ridiculous. Especially if that person bought the Man City shirt themselves.
Yeah.
It's
And
because
that's basically
people
what's happening.
choose
I'm
something
sure the
to
club
bind
don't mind.
themselves.
The club don't buy it, yeah.
Just buy another.
Yeah. So it's on the individual. Like, why are you that attached to that which is material? And surely the whole belief in Allah is not a material thing. It's a spiritual thing, right?
It's because attachment means purpose, and people need purpose in their life, or else they feel, lost in their lives. That's why they need to attach themselves to something, and when they get that attachment, they become unreasonable about many different things.
There's
That's
levels
why
of attachment. That's what I'm saying.
exactly.
We're all attached to
exactly.
something. I'm attached to these right now. Like there's a certain level that need is on me, right? But if you ran away with them, I'm not gonna cry.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
You don't mind me asking, as someone who's black, what was your opinion about what happened?
Did you just assume his race?
I'm not laughing at
being
you. It's
racist.
just so
I'm not
it came
being-
from nowhere. Sorry.
I'm not being, I'm not
funny.
I'm not trying to, I'm not being racist.
No, it's okay, it's okay.
Oh no, I'm joking.
The whole
Say
issue
anything,
with Jedi and Muhammad hijab,
Yeah.
as a black person,
Yeah.
what was your thoughts about? Did you say, okay, look, let's not mess with the Muslims now? They could, what was your opinion about, what happened in that occasion? Do you think who was at fault in terms of who was at fault in what happened? Do you think
The thing is,
do
when
you
it
think
comes
both
to
sides were wrong? Do you think it was?
more lean towards that. 'Cause when it comes to these altercations, there's always, a root
Yeah.
cause of it, obviously.
Yeah.
Like you already said, it already started with Jedi provoking, his name Ahmed.
Ahmed Ali.
Yeah, because he punched
Ahmed
the
Ali
other dude,
Pisha.
right?
Yeah, he punched
He
Uncle
didn't need to
Omar.
go to him and say, oh, you punched the old man. He didn't need to go to him and say that. So he kind of made his bed there. But I don't see the reason for Muhammad to then come with bare people.
But you don't see why it sent him. You don't see it was all orchestrated, though, wasn't it? It was all planned out.
Yeah,
Muhammad hijab planned out all that out with his friends to chase Jedi.
Yeah.
Wait, you mean he planned out Ahmed Ali punching Uncle Omar?
No,
No, I mean
the aftermath.
The aftermath of the first
everyone
fight. Yeah,
yeah.
definitely. He
Yeah,
planned
yeah.
that, but not the fight itself.
No,
The question
It
was, do I
happened.
feel a certain way about Muslims because of that? No.
No,
That wasn't a black thing at all to me. Like,
but a lot of those people who chased Jedi were black, maybe black Muslims, and in a way, some people could say, I don't have any feelings for Muhammad hijab. He does his own thing, but they were used in that sense to.
are you thinking that I may have an issue?
I guess
I may have a perspective that Muhammad was using black people
Yeah.
against another black person.
Yes.
Oh, I never thought about that, but no, I didn't have that opinion.
Maybe they came on their own volition to say, oh, we're not
I
with
don't
him
know,
even though
because
he's the same race.
There was a
'cause,
lot like Muhammad Taweed was like.
Oh yeah, he was completely
yelling and
unhinged,
shouting,
man. He was
trying
crazy.
to grab these guys.
He was fucking crazy.
And one of those guys
Tawhid
chased.
was
It
crazy
was
that
all
day.
just
I
down
didn't
here
see
as well.
colour in
Huh?
that sense.
It
I
was
did
all.
see that-
Oh yeah. Tawhid was in the middle of a crowd. He was just,
Taking on his young people.
spitting his guts out. He was just shouting. It was insane, man. But yeah, look, I again, I understand the point of view of hijab there. A Muslim guy gets attacked by a group. He needs to do something about it. But at the same time, the Muslim guy was the first one to throw the punch. They
That's
kind
why I
of,
don't think it's
yeah,
right
they kind
to
of
say he was
needed to.
attacked. He started the fight.
Yeah, he threw the first
Yeah.
punch both at Uncle Omar and another
For
Muslim
some
guy.
reason.
And that's the thing, man. I think he should have been reprimanded by other Muslims when he threw the punch at Uncle Omar, man.
Yeah.
What about Red Boy? Why the fuck was Red Boy here so long? Why was nobody talking to him?
look,
I mean, on the comments, everybody was Superman. Everyone was like, "Oh, Red Boy, he needs to get out of there. Somebody needs to have a conversation."
I'm
Here,
sorry. I
nobody.
just want to say one thing. I'm sorry what you went through when he tried to intimidate.
Oh no,
you.
it's cool.
Rat Boy
Man,
was
I was
I
intimidated
think-
because of the police. I thought I would punch him, and then the police would bring me in. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm bigger
like,
than
you
him.
came up- you
Obviously,
came up to
it's
him
more
and
likely that
he
I
was-
would.
He was swearing and threatening him.
Yeah.
I think he's got a lot of mental health problems.
He does.
He does. So.
I don't hold it against him, honestly, but I think he should be kind of moderated because look, there are groups here in Speaker's Corner who claim unity. Muslims claim unity, Christians claim unity, to a certain extent, blacks claim unity. Some groups, not all of them, but some groups of blacks claim unity. There is no unity. Every single one of those claims is complete and utter bullshit. But when those claims exist, it forces them to act when person of their community gets involved in trouble. That's what forced Muhammad hijab to get involved in the trouble. Also he probably did it out of his own volition because he wanted some PR for himself. But that's not the only cause, The big problem here is that there's this idea of unity that doesn't actually exist in practice. And I think that's the main thing that should be solved. People shouldn't...
Fake, yeah.
Exactly. Like I remember seeing Isa talking to, what's his name? To Shakara the other day. And they had completely different opinions. Completely and utterly different. They were, this close to insulting each other, but they were still calling each other brother. Come on, man, there's no brotherhood there. You're completely different to each other. There's no black community, there's no white community, there's no Christian community, there's no Muslim community. You guys, if you guys want to make a community, have some actual self-restraint. That's what I mean. If somebody in your community is acting like a complete idiot, try to kind of talk to them.
I think these communities do exist, but they break down quite quickly.
Oh yeah,
as well,
absolutely.
absolutely.
The problem is that's a quite evolved way of looking at things. But when you have a system,
I know, man. I know.
When you have a tribal base,
practice.
these are tribes.
You're right.
And a lot of them have a code of silence and not to discuss their problems.
That's the problem. That's the fucking problem. I remember many times here, people from these communities talking, oh, we can't, I remember Aspect said it one time or whatever, about, oh, we can't have beef here on camera. We can't solve our beef here. You need to solve it, in person. Which is fair enough. You don't have to do everything on camera. But if you have a big problem, why are you gonna hide it? You're never gonna solve it if you're just gonna hide it. It's just gonna get worse and worse and worse and worse. Eventually, it's gonna spiral out of control, like what happened, between Hijab and Jedi.
Plus, in terms of aggression and stuff, it seems that there's probably a small group of people who do get in trouble with the police and do get kicked out, and then they may come back a year later or something like that.
Yeah.
But for a lot of people, I think they come here quite regularly and don't get involved in any of that, and then they seem to be able to come here week in, week out, and no problems ensue. And to be honest, those are more my people, really. So.
Yeah, I guess it was just. I'm trying to go back to it. It was just so crazy. I've never seen anything like what happened between those two. The way it happened, he was led around the whole park, and there was so many.
Oh, yeah, standard here. Honestly,
the scope wasn't common. The scope was very big. The scope was pretty big. But people getting in fights is not something very rare.
And this is something that got spread worldwide because almost 1 million people watch this, and so.
Yeah, look, Muslims feel forced to be on the side of Muhammad Hijab, and many of the people who follow Jedi, people of gang and blah blah blah, they felt forced on siding with Jedi, and that's the problem with the this fake brotherhood idea. You're calling each other brother, but then having trouble left, right, and center.
Why you can have trouble with your brother and he still be your brother?
Yeah, of course.
I think the Jedi was put in the middle of things though, because
we're talking about the different kind of brotherhood, not just blood brotherhood. We're talking about like Muslims sometimes say, it's stronger than a blood bond or whatever about Islam. It really isn't. They're Shia, they're Sunni, and they sometimes really hate each other. Really hate each other. Isa is the best example I can think of. Isa, the guy with the balaclava, with the mask. Yeah.
Oh,
he keeps talking. Every single conversation he comes into, he starts moaning and bitching and moaning about Sunni Islam. It's unbelievable. Every single time he needs to shift to Sunni Islam. I'm tired of it, man. I'm tired of that.
Well,
stuff.
I think you can't get anywhere when you start calling Sunnis monkeys and stuff like that. You're gonna just turn everyone against you. Nobody's gonna listen. That's just.
That's true. That's true. Some people listen, unfortunately, but hopefully that's a minority of people. But yeah, look. Anyway, the main point I wanted to explain is people shouldn't fake this. They shouldn't act like they're fake friends to each other. They shouldn't be like, oh, you're my brother, I completely disagree with every single word you say. But you're a Muslim, or oh, you're the same race as I am, so we need to be brothers.
What you're basically saying is the truth should be more higher than.
Yeah, you need to be able of self-criticism.
Yeah.
If you don't have any self-criticism of your community, of yourself, most importantly as a person,
yeah,
it's
you
all
see
for
all the
naught.
time here. I agree.
It's
You
all
see all the time
pointless.
here, a group of people, a group, whatever group. One person speaking, he's clearly saying dumb things that are just not true.
Yeah.
But people be random just standing there.
Doesn't matter if you have to kill him.
They won't say anything, but they'll afterwards. Oh yeah, maybe you should have said that. That was a bit wrong. Blah blah blah. But they won't say it right there. And then.
Another example, if to give a fresh example, is Ralph with the with the Tommy Robinson supporters.
Okay.
They have a bit of a a bunch of disagreements between each other. They're not together, man. There is no big unity between anyone. That's what I think people should accept. They should accept that they need some self-criticism. That's.
What was your opinion of Tan?
Of Tan?
Yeah, we're talking briefly about him.
Okay, look. I don't support Tan. I think Tan is really funny. I think Tan is really funny. I think Tan is really funny. I think Uncle Omar is really funny.
Yeah.
Even though I call him Uncle Jihad, I think Ralph is funny, and you might notice that they have very different ideologies to each other. Uncle Omar, for example, and Tan, complete opposites.
You see, people like him, like Tan, very offensive. Of course, things he said to
absolutely.
Muslims about the Quran,
Absolutely.
things he said he would do to the Quran, etc. Now, even though it's very offensive, like you, like any you who's a Muslim, that's actually your opportunity to have more composure with yourself. Like he's the extreme example of, you could say, Islamophobe. You could say, right? He actually would be one. Yeah. So if you can like meet someone like that and not let him rile you up, then you're doing very well, and you're.
And he would have looked like
God.
an absolute idiot as well if he had just been screaming that stuff. And no one had reacted. He would have looked like
If you debunk them on camera specifically, if you have an argument with him, if you show him, okay, this is a fallacy, this is wrong, this is you're exaggerating, blah blah blah, it would be perfect. Then would be powerless. But he had power because the Muslims gave him power.
Yeah, I think we can all agree that if everybody could self-reflect...
And Jedi too. Jedi is kind of also guilty of that because he chased him out of the park. You know, again, I don't agree with almost anything that says, really. I just find him funny. I find him funny, but I don't agree with anything he says.
Yeah, but when you say that the N-word the way he did, and the N-word has a lot
Yeah, he called Jedi.
That's really controversial. I heard a lot of people.
It was very messed up.
And that caused a big reaction there. It's maybe an analogy of what we were talking about earlier. You know, and that's what happened. There was a big reaction. People reacted, and he was led away from the park. And you know, it was always going to end like that. I think he was trying to do something controversial.
The thing is, though, because he's a troll, like I thought, like he wasn't really part of the populist group because you couldn't really say stand by him, and he's saying all of that crap, and you're like, you know, you can't really do that.
He wasn't even with Tommy Robinson.
He was just on his own, wasn't he?
He was with them at the beginning, and then he went.
He very quickly
the Holy Prophet Tommy Robinson. He gave him some criticism, and they all turned against him. And they didn't want to support, and then he had no support whatsoever. And then the Wolves jumped in.
Oh, speaking of Mohammed Hijab, there he is.
I don't want to mess with him.
Tallest guy in the park.
Yeah, basically. Well, nobody said anything about messing with him.
So
now he comes here. Hey, guys, you want to?
What did you mean by that?
Do an MMA fight?
You just said I'm not going to mess with him. What did you mean by that?
Well,
physical violence, fighting.
No, I talk in a debate-wise. I got to admit, he's got really good debating skills.
Oh, okay, I mean debate.
I don't agree with him. I mean, also physically, I've got him. But debating-wise, he has so many different ways of diverting the argument, and
that's the thing.
He's really good at arguing. That doesn't make you right. It doesn't make your point right.
So like you said, because a lot of Muslims in this park, particularly, they often use this word, I'm a layman, don't ask me, ask someone else.
Yeah.
And I don't like how people devalue themselves. Like, we're all equal. That's it. Like, from the higher perspective, we're all equal. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And a lot of people here will say, I don't know, I'm not a scholar, I'm not this person.
Oh man, it's just the way, look.
The way you just shrunk so quickly. Oh, I don't want to... Like, don't do that, bro.
Well, I think it's
You
because...
learn. You know what I'm saying? Like,
If I went to Mohammed Hijab now, he's going to have some Dawah cameraman there, and that's going to be broadcast to hundreds of thousands of people. And then,
I get it. The scene will change. I get it. I'm just saying, I'm looking into your eyes and saying, like, don't devalue yourself.
The Mohammed Hijab, he doesn't debate to argue or for us to learn. He debates for his audience.
Well, of course, all of them do. Dude, there's people here. Most of the big speakers here earn money with this.
Yeah, that's why he grabs
from donations.
That's why he grabbed William, and he did this.
Well, he didn't grab me or William. We just kind of happened. We kind of happened to talk to him. He actually never invited me. There was only one person. There was only one person that I got invited to a conversation with, which was Shabir. As I like to call him, Shabir the Shuffle Master. Shabir the Shuffle Master. Bro, it's so funny. It's so funny. The whole conversation trying to, I would take a small step forward in the argument, trying to get somewhere. Shabir would take 10 steps back, 3 steps left, 5 steps right, and then a few more steps back just to make sure the argument wasn't going anywhere.
It was so irritating to watch. I gotta say, you were just going backwards. Behind it, it's too I think if somebody is trying to destroy the Quran or rip up the Quran, they're trying to insult it or trying to bring down Islam. That's the intention, isn't it? And that's where people have problems. And the thing is, people see Islam as the objective truth. They work in that paradigm that Islam is the truth and it's the word of God.
Yep.
And if you don't follow the Quran, you'll burn in hell and you'll, for eternity, forever and ever and ever, ever you'll burn. Okay, that's that objective truth. So
sunscreen.
If you think that way, and somebody has destroyed what they believe is the word of God, how can you blame them for being hurt, at least minimum being hurt, but now at some point trying to do violence? Now we live in the West. We have a rule-based system of law, respect. You
can blame them for doing violence. You can't blame them for being hurt. You can blame them for doing violence because the Quran is supposed to be eternal, right? It's not a physical thing. It's not located to this thing that is in my
Yes. But we're talking about human beings here, aren't we? We're talking about.
I know, but you said you can't sort of be upset with someone if they come to.
I'm not saying
violence.
it's right. I'm not saying it's right. I'm against violence personally. I'm just trying to get in their mind mindset.
It's really on the person. It's on the person to they need help. The person who is going to pick up their fist or whatever, or gun or whatever, and do someone damage because someone did something with their own book, even though it's the Quran, they call it or they give it to them. Yeah, if I'm going to attack you, what you do with your book, I got issues. My faith ain't that strong. Then is it?
Yeah.
Because the Quran is supposed to be eternal. Yeah.
Yeah, you can see it that way.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I'm not cussing you.
No. I hear what you're saying.
Because like this whole religion thing, man. Like you can't hurt someone.
Right.
So what they think.
It's a religious
or
belief.
say,
Yeah.
What they ripped up a book.
Well, that's what's
it's
been
from
happening
God.
through
I
human
know,
history.
yeah,
That's
exactly.
the thing. Look, that's the difference
That's
between
the people that need
thinking ideologically and thinking realistically is different. You are completely right in everything that you're saying, but at the same time, it's not a completely realistic thinking. Now, the way the perspective I would propose here is to actually have
all I'm saying.
moderately realistic.
All I'm saying it is on the person, it's on the individual to not react in a certain way.
You should definitely
That's what
blame
I'm
a
saying.
person who starts
what I'm
violence
saying.
because of something that was said or about an object that was destroyed. I mean, unless
Do you think though it's kind of all the case of if you've got someone who say burns a book and then someone else becomes angry and violent, to me it seems quite narrow-minded on both parties. Like initially there's kind of the trolling behaviour and then there's the over-aggressive response to it, and so I guess I'd prefer for people to just be a bit more expansive
It's the same
and to
way.
just to try and have more of a richer life generally, rather than to go into that narrow-minded.
I agree. It's
That person called me a cunt. I'm going to go after
in football,
them.
right? I don't know if any of you are football fans, but if you're a hardcore football fan, like it's on your heart. You didn't have tattoos. It's almost religion for some people, right? So say if there's
like Millwall.
a Man United fan. I don't know, say Man City fan, and a Man United fan burnt a Man City T-shirt. Some Man City fans will knock him out, will fight. Do you know what I'm saying? But from objectively speaking, it's a bit ridiculous. Especially if that person bought the Man City shirt themselves.
it's because
basically
people
what's happening.
choose
I'm
something
sure the
to
club
bind
don't mind.
themselves.
The club don't buy it,
Just buy another.
So it's on the individual. Like, why are you that attached to that which is material? And surely the whole belief in Allah is not a material thing. It's a spiritual thing, right?
It's because attachment means purpose, and people need purpose in their life, or else they feel, lost in their lives. That's why they need to attach themselves to something, and when they get that attachment, they become unreasonable about many different things.
There's
That's
levels
why
of attachment. That's what I'm saying.
exactly.
We're all attached to something. I'm attached to these right now. Like at a certain level, that need is on me, right? But if you ran away with them, I'm not gonna cry. Don't do it.
You don't mind me asking, as someone who's black, what was your opinion about what happened?
Did you just assume his race?
I'm not laughing at you. It's just it came from nowhere. Sorry.
I'm not being racist.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
Oh no.
The whole
Say
issue
anything,
with Jedi and Muhammad hijab,
Yeah.
as a black person, what was your thoughts about? Did you say, okay, look, let's not mess with the Muslims now? They could, what was your opinion about what happened in that occasion? Do you think who was at fault in terms of who was at fault in what happened? Do you think
The thing is,
do
when
you
it
think
comes
both
to
sides were wrong? Do you think it was?
more lean towards that. 'Cause when it comes to these altercations, there's always a root cause of it. Obviously, like you already said, it already started with Jedi provoking. His name
Amidala.
Yeah, because he punched the
Amidala
other dude,
Pisha.
right?
Yeah, he punched
He
Uncle
didn't need to
Omar.
go to him and say, "Oh, you punched the old man." He didn't need to go to him and say that. So he kind of made his bed there. But I don't see the reason for Muhammad to then come with bare people.
But you don't see
Jedi
why
profile.
it sent him. You don't see it was all orchestrated, though, wasn't it? It was all planned out.
Yeah,
Muhammad Hijab planned out all that out with his friends to chase Jedi.
Yeah.
Wait, you mean he planned out Ahmedali punching Uncle Omar?
No,
No, I mean
the aftermath.
The aftermath of the first
everyone
fight. Yeah,
yeah.
definitely. He
Yeah,
planned
yeah.
that, but not the fight itself.
No,
Your question
It
was, do I
happened.
feel a certain way about Muslims because of that? No.
No.
That wasn't a black thing at all to me. Like,
But a lot of those people who chased Jedi were black, maybe black Muslims. And in a way, some people could say, I don't have any feelings for Muhammad Hijab, he does his own thing. But they were used in that sense to
are you thinking that I may have an issue?
I guess
I may have a perspective that Muhammad was using black people
Yeah.
against another black person.
Yes.
Oh, I never thought about that, but no, I didn't have that opinion.
Maybe they came on their own volition to say, oh, we're not
I
with
don't
him
know,
even
because
though he's the same race.
There was a
'cause,
lot like Muhammad Taweed was like.
Oh yeah, he was completely
yelling and
unhinged,
shouting,
man. He was
trying
crazy.
to grab these guys.
He was fucking crazy.
And one of those guys
Tawhid
chased.
was
It
crazy
was
that
all
day.
just
I
down
didn't
here
see
as well.
colour in
Huh?
that sense.
It
I
was
did
all.
see that-
Oh yeah. Tawhid was in the middle of a crowd. He was just,
Taking on his
you know,
young people.
spitting his guts out. He was just shouting. It was
Okay.
insane, man. But yeah, look, I understand the point of view of hijab there. A Muslim guy gets attacked by a group. He needs to do something about it. But at the same time, the Muslim guy was the first one to throw the punch. They
That's
kind
why I
of,
don't think it's
yeah,
right
they kind
to
of
say he was
needed to.
attacked. He started the fight.
Yeah, he threw the first
Yeah.
punch both at Uncle Omar and another
For
Muslim
some
guy.
reason.
And that's the thing, man. I think he should have been reprimanded by other Muslims when he threw the punch at Uncle Omar, man.
Yeah.
What about Red Boy? Why the fuck was Red Boy here so long? Why was nobody talking to him?
look,
I mean, on the comments, everybody was Superman. Everyone was like, "Oh, Red Boy, he needs to get out of there. Somebody needs to have a conversation."
I'm
Here,
sorry. I
nobody.
just want to say one thing. I'm sorry what you went through when he tried to intimidate.
Oh no,
you.
it's.
Rat Boy
Man,
was
I was
a-
intimidated because of the police. I thought I would punch him, and then the police would bring me in. I mean, I'm bigger than him. Obviously, it's more likely that I would.
He was swearing and threatening him. I think he's got a lot of mental health problems.
He does.
He does. So.
I don't hold it against him, honestly, but I think he should be kind of moderated because look, there are groups here in Speaker's Corner who claim unity. Muslims claim unity, Christians claim unity, to a certain extent, blacks claim unity. Some groups, not all of them, but some groups of blacks claim unity. There is no unity. Every single one of those claims is complete and utter bullshit. But when those claims exist, it forces them to act when person of their community gets involved in trouble. That's what forced Muhammad Hijab to get involved in the trouble. You know, also he probably did it out of his own volition because he wanted some PR for himself. But that's not the only cause, you know. The big problem here is that there's this idea of unity that doesn't actually exist in practice. And I think that's the main thing that should be solved. People shouldn't...
Fake, yeah.
Exactly. Like I remember seeing Isa talking to, what's his name? To Shakara the other day. And they had completely different opinions. Completely and utterly different. They were, you know, this close to insulting each other, but they were still calling each other brother. Come on, man, there's no brotherhood there. You're completely different to each other. There's no black community, there's no white community, there's no Christian community, there's no Muslim community. You guys, if you guys want to make a community, you know, have some actual self-restraint. That's what I mean. If somebody in your community is acting like a complete idiot, try to kind of talk to them.
I think these communities do exist, but they break down quite quickly.
Oh yeah,
as well,
absolutely.
and-
Absolutely.
The problem is that's a quite evolved way of looking at things. But when you have a system,
Yeah, I know, man. I know.
when you have a
It does work in
tribal-based,
practice. I know what you mean,
these are
bro.
tribes.
You're right.
And a lot of them have a code of silence and not to discuss their problems.
That's the problem. That's the fucking problem. I remember many times here, people from these communities talking, oh, we can't, I remember Respect said it one time or whatever, about, oh, we can't have beef here on camera. We can't solve our beef here. You need to solve it, you know, in person. Which is fair enough. You don't have to do everything on camera. But if you have a big problem, why are you gonna hide it? You're never gonna solve it if you're just gonna hide it. It's just gonna get worse and worse and worse and worse. Eventually, it's gonna spiral out of control, like what happened, you know, between hijab and Jedi.
Plus, in terms of aggression and stuff, it seems that, you know, there's probably a small group of people who do get in trouble with the police and do get kicked out, and then they may come back a year later or something like that.
Yeah.
But for a lot of people, I think they come here quite regularly and don't get involved in any of that, and then they seem to be able to come here week in, week out, and no problems ensue. And to be honest, those are more my people, really. So.
Yeah, I guess it was just. I'm sorry to go back to it. It was just so crazy. I've never seen anything like what happened between those two. The way it happened, he was like led around the whole park, and there was like so many.
Oh, yeah, standard here. Honestly,
I mean, the scope wasn't common. The scope was very big. The scope was pretty big. But people getting in fights is not something very rare.
And this is something that got spread worldwide because like almost 1 million people watched this, and you know, so.
Yeah, look, Muslims feel forced to be on the side of Muhammadiyad, and many of the people who follow Jedi, you know, people of gang and blah blah blah, they felt forced on siding with Jedi, and that's the problem with the fake, this fake brotherhood idea. You know, you're calling each other brother, but then having trouble left, right, and center.
Why you can have trouble with your brother and he still be your brother?
Yeah, of course.
I think the Jedi was put in the middle of things though, because
we're talking about the different kind of brotherhood, not just blood brotherhood. You know, we're talking about you know, like Muslims sometimes say, it's stronger than a blood bond or whatever about Islam. It really isn't. You know, they're Shia, they're Sunni, and they sometimes really hate each other. Really hate each other. You know, Isa is the best example I can think of. Isa, you know, the guy with the balaclava, with the mask. Yeah, he keeps talking. Every single conversation he comes into, he starts moaning and bitching and moaning about Sunni Islam. It's unbelievable. Every single time he needs to shift to Sunni Islam. I'm tired of it, man. I'm tired of that.
Well,
stuff.
I think you can't get anywhere when you start calling Sunnis monkeys and stuff like that. You're gonna just turn everyone against you. Nobody's gonna listen. That's just.
That's true. That's true. I mean, some people listen, unfortunately, but you know, hopefully that's a minority of people. But yeah, look. Anyway, the main point I wanted to explain is people shouldn't fake this. You know, they shouldn't act like they're fake friends to each other. They shouldn't be like, oh, you're my brother, I completely disagree with every single word you say, but you're a Muslim, or oh, you're the same race as I am, so we need to be brothers.
What you're basically saying is the truth should be more higher than.
Yeah, you need to be able of self-criticism.
Yeah.
If you don't have any self-criticism of your community, of yourself, most importantly as a person.
Yeah,
it's
you
all
see
for
all the
naught.
time here. I agree.
It's
You
all
see all the time
pointless.
here, a group of people, a group, whatever group. One person speaking, he's clearly saying like dumb things that are just not true.
Yeah.
But people will be random just standing there.
Doesn't matter if you have to kill him.
You know, they won't say anything, but they'll afterwards. Oh yeah, maybe you should have said that. That was a bit wrong. Blah blah blah. But they won't say it right there. And then.
Another example, if to give a fresh example, is Ralph with the you know, with the Tommy Robinson supporters.
Okay.
They have a bit of a you know, a bunch of disagreements between each other. They're not together, man. There is no, you know, big unity between anyone. That's what I think people should accept. They should accept that they need some self-criticism. You know, that's.
What was your opinion of Tan?
Of Tan?
Yeah, we're talking briefly about him. I mean,
Boy, he was
okay, look. I don't support Tan. I think Tan is really funny. I think Tan is really funny. I think Tan is really funny. I think Uncle Omar is really funny.
Yeah.
Even though, you know, I call him Uncle Jihad. I think Ralph is funny. And you know, you might notice that they have very different ideologies to each other. You know, Uncle Omar, for example, and Tan, complete opposites.
You see, people like him, like Tan, very offensive. Of course, things he said to Muslims about the Quran, things that he would do to the Quran, etc. Now, even though it's very offensive, like you, like any you who's a Muslim, that's actually your opportunity to have more composure with yourself. Like he's the extreme example of Islamophobe, you can say.
Yeah,
right? He actually would be one. Yeah. So if you can like meet someone like that and not let him rile you up, then you're doing very well, and you're.
And he would have looked like
God.
an absolute idiot as well.
Exactly.
If he had just been screaming that stuff,
That's what,
and no one had reacted, he would have looked like
If you debunk Tan on camera
That's-
specifically, if you have an argument with him, if you show him, okay, this is a fallacy, this is wrong, this is you're exaggerating, blah blah blah, it would be perfect. Tan would be powerless, but he had power because the Muslims gave him power.
Yeah, I think we can all agree that if everybody could
And
self-reflect...
Jedi too. Jedi is kind of also guilty of that because he chased him out of the park.
Oh yeah.
You know, again, I don't agree with almost anything Tan says. Really, I just find him funny. I find him funny, but I don't agree with anything he says.
Yeah, but when you say that the N-word the way he did, and the N-word has a lot
Yeah,
of...
he called Jedi.
That's really controversial. I heard a
Yeah, it
lot
was
of,
messed
lot
up.
of people.
It was very messed up.
And that caused a big reaction there. It's maybe an analogy of what we were talking about earlier. You know, and that's what happened. There was a big reaction. People reacted, and he was led away from the park. And you know, it was always going to end like that. I think he was trying to do something controversial.
The thing is, though, because he's a troll, like I thought, like he wasn't really part of the populist group because you couldn't really say stand by him, and he's saying all of that crap, and you're like, yeah, you know, you can't really do that.
He wasn't even with Tommy Robinson.
He was just on his own, wasn't he?
He was with them at the beginning, and then he went.
He very quickly
the Holy
parted ways.
Prophet Tommy Robinson. He gave him some criticism, and they all turned against him. And they didn't want to support, and then he had no support whatsoever. And then the Wolves jumped in.
Oh, speaking of Mohammed Hijab, there he is.
Yeah. I don't want to mess with him.
Tallest guy in the park.
Yeah, basically. Well, nobody said anything about messing with him.
Yeah. So
Now he comes here. Hey, guys, you want to?
What did you mean by
do
that?
an MMA fight?
You just said I'm not going to mess with him. What did you mean by that?
well,
Physical violence, fighting.
No, I talk in a debate-wise. I got to admit, he's got really good debating skills.
Ah, okay, I mean debate.
I don't agree with him. I mean, also physically, I've got him. But debating-wise, he has so many different ways of diverting the argument and
that's the thing.
He's really good at arguing.
Yeah.
That doesn't make you right. It doesn't make your point right.
So
But
like
if
you
can-
said, because a lot of Muslims in this park, particularly, they often use this word, I'm a layman, don't ask me, ask someone else.
Yeah.
And I don't like how people devalue themselves. Like, we're all
That's
equal.
it.
Like, from the higher perspective, we're all equal. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And a lot of people here will say, oh, I don't know, I'm not a scholar, I'm not this person.
Oh man, it's
that
just the
person.
way. Look,
The way you just shrunk so quickly. Oh, I don't want to. Like, don't do that, bro.
Well, I think it's
You can
because
learn. You know what I'm saying? Like,
if I went
do
into
that.
Mohammed Hijab now, he's going to have some Dawah cameraman there, and that's going to be because there are hundreds of thousands of people. And then,
I get it. The scene will change. I get it. I'm just saying. I'm looking into your eyes and saying, like, don't devalue yourself.
The
Let
Mohammed
no one do it to
Hijab,
you.
he doesn't debate to argue or for us to learn. He debates for his audience.
well, of course, all of them do.
So
Dude,
that
there's
they can-
people here.
send a message.
Most of the big speakers here earn money with this.
Yeah, that's why he grabs
From
you.
donations,
That's why
specifically.
he grabbed William, and he did this.
Well, he didn't grab me or Willem. We just
Yeah,
kind
he
of
came
happened.
in,
Yeah, we kind of happened to talk to him.
I mean,
He actually never invited me. The one
different
person. There was
conversations,
only one
different.
person. Yeah, there was only one person that I got invited to a conversation with, which was Shabir. As I like to call him, Shabir the Shuffle Master. Yeah, Shabir the Shuffle Master. Bro, it's so funny. It's so funny. The whole conversation trying to, I would take a small step forward in the argument, trying to get somewhere. Shabir would take 10 steps back, 3 steps
Very
left,
smart guy.
5 steps right, and then a few more steps back just to make sure the argument wasn't going anywhere.
It was so irritating
amazing.
to watch. I gotta say, you were just going backwards.
We came to absolutely no conclusion, man.
Yeah, it was quite sad in a way because the whole point of a conversation is to learn.
Yeah.
But if the other person is just there just to argue and argue, not to listen. And
That's because some people come here to debate. When you're debating, you're not coming to learn. You know what you're talking about. You come to debate, right? You've got your facts.
I disagree.
I see it here all the time.
No, look, I think debate is necessary for learning because if
I
you're
know,
shown,
but what I'm saying is that people's
they come to
their
win.
intention.
They only come to win,
Come
that's
to
it.
win. Then you're not coming to learn.
Yeah, but it's
You say different
come to
things.
debate is different. To come
If you're
to
trying to
win. If
beat
you
the
come
other
to win,
person rather than you're trying to be right.
That's what happens.
yeah,
in
exactly.
debate.
If you come to win, it doesn't matter if you lose or win the debate, as long as your followers on camera still follow you. That's your victory that you're looking to achieve. Shabir didn't make any progress whatsoever in the argument. In fact, he was the one running away from the argument all the time. His followers absolutely, supported him. Absolutely, not one follower said anything bad about him. Why?
So then you didn't come to learn.
They want to support him, not because
Because then
he's
you
right.
didn't come to learn in your conversation. You just said he was shuffling. Yeah, that's my point.
the most annoying thing, he was trying to insult you in a polite way. Like, I don't mean to call
Oh yeah, man,
you,
I love that. Respectfully,
Yeah.
with respect,
No,
respectfully,
yeah,
with
exactly.
respect. He was really trying to get out of my skin. I was just, oh god, that's such a cheap attempt,
Yeah.
dude. Come on. It doesn't. I even told him it doesn't matter how many times you say respectfully to a person. If you're lacking in respect in the way you're in, yeah, exactly. You're talking to them. Like if you're kicking somebody's ass and you're saying, "Oh, I love you," respectfully, respect, I love you, and you keep beating them up. Sorry, bro. Go ahead.
Yeah, no. I just don't see the point of that style of debating. We're gonna have honest. The whole point is to have honest conversations and for all parties to learn
That's
from
different.
those.
That's what I'm saying. To me, I know debate, can just mean having a conversation as well. But to me, people here come to debate. We're saying to win.
To win, exactly.
But honest conversation, I'm all about that. That's why you hardly see me talking to many people for. Well, I'll just go somewhere else. Yeah? I'll talk about consciousness and things like that. But when people come in to win a debate and they don't actually listen to what you want to say.
Or they have their own channel like Shabir had, and they just videotape you for their audience, just to humiliate or try to
talking very loud, so their voice is definitely heard.
Yeah,
This guy,
that's just dirty. I find that.
like Buff, for example. But yeah, man.
But still fun and games.
Yeah.
We still come, don't we? So we're not actually that pissed off. I haven't been here for a while.
Cool.
That's it, guys. That's the conversation.
Yeah, man.
Good stuff. Cheers, man.
We're just talking now, like, I won't leave you hanging.
All right.
A lot of people here now.
From your man, say it straight. Man, don't listen to BBC. Man, don't listen to ITV.
I just said,
Listen.
why no scientist has proven that the brain generates consciousness. So at least you can tell me otherwise. You have to start with that first.
Right, so
You know what I mean?
I'm not fantastic on the scientific aspects of this. I'm more interested in the sociological aspects of this.
Fine, that's a different conversation.
But from what I see, we started on the journey towards being fully conscious when we became Homo sapiens.
What do you mean by fully conscious? What's like semi-conscious?
So our brain structure when we became Homo sapiens was pretty similar to what it is now, but it fully became similar to what it is now around 100,000 years ago. And for most of the population, we had human consciousness, and that was 75,000 years ago. And at that point, from 100,000 years ago, we start making little works of art, and we start building these large